Do you ever lay in bed at night worrying about something you did or said, afraid you embarrassed yourself or that someone is secretly judging you? I get it. For most of my life, I morphed myself into whoever I needed to be to fit in and be accepted, which is a classic people-pleasing behavior. But 7 years ago, I finally got tired of shrinking myself and playing small just to have people like me, because the truth of the matter was, I wasn't even sure that I liked me anymore. So I went to work on all of that, and I finally was able to let go of caring what other people thought of me. So much so that I can now laugh at things that people say about me, such as this comment that I got on a recent YouTube video that I posted. She said I needed to dye my sad gray hair or start wearing a wig, put on some more vibrant makeup, and stop looking like a senior. That's what this video is about. How many of us, especially women, have wasted years of our lives worrying and caring about what other people think about us, and then living our lives according to their terms, their parameters, instead of living our life according to how we want to live our life. I'm sharing why we care so much, and 5 simple steps you can start today to stop fearing the judgment and caring what other people think of you. I'll tell you, letting go of others' opinions of me has made my life so much more peaceful and happy. Caring what other people think about you, especially as women, it's not your fault. It was conditioned into us to care, to seek approval from others, and to pay attention to how we look and how we behave. And as we age, again, especially as females, we're taught that we shouldn't look like a senior. So we end up learning to focus on, what will they think? Will they approve? Will they judge me? And that actually keeps us from saying what we need to say, from wearing what we want to wear, from trying new things, from setting boundaries, from speaking up when we're hurt, from speaking up when we need something. And it keeps us from taking up space in the world and allowing our quirkiness and our uniqueness to come out. We actually morph ourselves and shrink ourselves to fit in and not be judged. And therefore, we end up becoming the best chameleons. And guess what? No matter what we do, people will always have an opinion. I could dye my hair pink, bathe in dramatic makeup, and someone would still have something to say about it. They might say, "You're trying too hard," or "You're too old for that." Or like the clerk in Whole Foods a couple weeks before I posted that video actually said, "I love your hair." She couldn't stop gushing about how beautiful she thought my hair was. So the bottom line is, you can't win, and you will never be happy when you try to live your life according to someone else's expectations, or in trying to avoid their judgment. There are health consequences to all this worrying. Chronic worry triggers increased cortisol, making you feel stressed, tired, and on edge. And it also can add to that midlife belly fat. Worry triggers heightened anxiety, which leads to overthinking and self-doubt and lack of confidence. Worry triggers poor sleep because your brain won't shut off worrying about what other people think or what you should have said or done differently. And worry actually lowers your immune function. So yes, this people-pleasing behavior can actually make you sick. And here's the worst part. Our brains don't know the difference between real danger and perceived danger. So when you're worried about whether someone's judging you or not, your brain doesn't know the difference, and it thinks it's actually happening. It thinks you're being chased by a tiger, and it puts you into fight or flight. That's where the extra cortisol comes from. So it's not just this passing thought that you're worried about someone judging you. It's actually a silent stressor that chips away slowly at your peace, your confidence, and ultimately your health. Here's what happens when we let other people's opinion run the show. We start actually shrinking in order to fit into what's deemed the acceptable box. We tone ourselves down. We stop doing things that make us happy. And before we know it, we're just a watered down version of ourselves. I stopped going to yoga because my husband, now ex, told me that I was spending too much time away from him. And I allowed that judgment of me to change who I was and what I did and how I showed up. I allowed it to make me think that I was doing something wrong. And so I shrunk and became a smaller version of myself, a watered down version of who Heidi actually is. And imagine if I took this woman's advice and I dyed my sad gray hair and I put on some more vibrant makeup and I stopped trying to look like a senior, whatever that means, but not because I wanted to, but because someone thought I should, just like my ex-husband thought I should. A good wife would spend more time with her husband instead of going to yoga and doing things that kept her healthy and happy. So when we do those things, who is that for? Would it actually make me feel good, or is it just chasing someone else's approval? Here's the truth. The minute we start changing who we are to fit what someone else thinks we should be, we stop living for ourselves. And I've brought up people pleasing a couple times. Maybe you're saying, well, how is this people pleasing? It's adjusting how you look to avoid criticism. It's saying what's nice instead of what's true to avoid rocking the boat. And it's shrinking your personality in order to keep other people comfortable. That's people pleasing. And at the end of the day, who does that serve? It certainly isn't you. So when we worry about what other people think, we're actually trading our own peace to keep them comfortable and to keep them happy. In order to change these behaviors, though, we have to change the beliefs that we have about ourselves. So let's get to the root of this problem. Why do we care so much about what other people think of us? Because most of us deep down have a core belief that maybe sounds something like, I'm not good enough. If I don't fit in and do what is expected, I won't be accepted. If I don't follow the rules, I won't be liked or loved. And all of those are fears. They come from the ego, and they keep us stuck in this pattern that is not serving us. And of course, we don't want to be rejected. We want to be accepted and approved of. We want to feel good enough. So we try to mold ourselves into whatever we think will be acceptable and will be approved of. But the parameters, the yardstick is constantly changing, because today it might be your partner's yardstick, tomorrow it might be your parents' yardstick, the next day it might be your boss's yardstick or a friend's yardstick or your kid's yardstick. So how do we measure? And that's what keeps us continually morphing to fit in to the different categories of people that we're with. But all of that is just keeping us trapped. It's keeping us stuck in this cycle of worrying about what someone else thinks. What if I had let fear win, though? What if I had let the fear of comments that I possibly could get on my YouTube channel, like, woman, you need to dye your sad gray hair? What if I had let that keep me from posting that video? What if I had let the fear of judgment keep me from starting my YouTube channel to begin with? Because let me tell you something, I used to be the ultimate chameleon. I would morph myself into whatever I thought someone else wanted or needed me to be. I'd hold back my opinions to keep the peace, and I would shrink myself to avoid that criticism because I wanted to fit in and be approved, and I thought it came from outside of me. And for most of my life, I let this fear of what other people thought control me. I let it make my decisions for me. But I finally have gotten to a place in my life where I don't let it control me anymore. Sometimes it will come up because it's natural that the ego wants to be in the driver's seat. But I recognize it now. I have the awareness of it now. And because of that video, the one that I posted that got that comment, has reached over 300,000 people. I've gotten hundreds of comments from women saying that it's given them hope and courage. Comments like, I finally feel seen. This changed how I see myself. I've been living in fear my whole life and I'm ready to stop. What step can I take to do that? So imagine if I had let one person's opinion stop me. And now imagine what you might be stopping yourself from doing. Because when you let the fear of judgment win, you don't just lose a little confidence, you lose opportunities and growth and the ability to make an impact. And I promise you, on the other side of that fear is a lot of freedom and self-acceptance and joy like you have never felt before. So what are the 5 steps that you can take to break free of worrying about what other people think and start living life on your terms? And you can start these steps today. So the first one is, before you do something, ask yourself, am I doing this for me or am I doing it for someone else or for their approval? So that's the first step. Notice when you're seeking approval or to fit in. The second step is to reframe judgment. Remember that people will always have opinions. So stop taking on their opinion as your truth. Only you can speak to what's true for you. No one else has that right. No one else is living your life. The third step is to start small. Say no to something that you don't want to do. Wear the thing that you actually want to wear. Do something just for you this week. That means setting micro boundaries for yourself, doing things for you. The fourth step is to flip the script. When you feel judgment from someone, ask yourself, is this about me actually, or is it really about them? There's a saying that all judgment is self-judgment. So what someone is judging in you is actually about them and not about you at all. And the fifth step is the most important one because our behaviors are driven by our beliefs. So this step is examine the core beliefs that you have about yourself. Sometimes it takes someone to help you see what you're actually believing about yourself because they're so ingrained, the beliefs that we have, we don't even recognize that they're there. I've said many times, it's like they're in our blind spot. We don't see them. When a car is driving in your blind spot, you don't know that it's there. That's why it's called the blind spot. And examine, do you believe what they're saying about you when they're judging you? Is that what you're believing about yourself to be true? Are you repeating their judgments in your head and creating this story about that's actually who you think you are? Saying things like, right, they're right. I do look like a senior. I need to do something about that. I'm not good enough. I'm too old to be on this platform, etc. Right? We make up these stories about their judgments of us and then we believe them to be true. So many clients tell me that they want more confidence. But here's the deal. Confidence doesn't come from approval, and it won't come when people stop judging you. It actually comes from owning who you are, all the aspects of you. And the only way to get there is to stop outsourcing your self-worth to someone else. Let me repeat that. Stop outsourcing your self-worth. You are worthy because you exist. No one else gets to determine that. You are worthy because you exist. At the end of the day, you get one life. and it's yours, not your mom's, not your partner's, not your neighbor's, not some random internet commenter. It's yours. If you've ever held back because of the fear of judgment, I'd love to support you in the comments. I read each comment personally and I respond to as many as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I could dye my hair back. Have you stopped yourself? Do I even want to say that? But here's the deal. Confidence doesn't come from, there's a saying that opinions are like assholes. We all have one.